Hey folks, welcome to another Civilization 6 video, and in this video I'm going to be sharing a map seed that has a couple of interesting starting locations in terms of natural wonders, and then we're specifically going to be going over what to do if you find a map that you like the map but you aren't necessarily a fan of the starting location, and how to potentially adjust this without having to change leaders. So now let's say you are playing with Seung of Korea here, and you load up this map and you get this particular starting location. Now, let's say you played the map a little bit and there were some features you found on the map that you found interesting, and you noticed that some of the AI players started near some of these features, and you were hoping to play the map but maybe get the starting location that they had. So what you can do is you can adjust the game seed setting but leave the map seed setting the same. So here's the settings we used, and we got this starting location, which isn't really anything that exciting. I mean, that's a nice tile to start on with a luxury resource, but it's sort of like way up at the north end of the map and extremely landlocked here. So now let's compare this if we adjust the map seed, or I'm sorry, the game seed setting. So here we are again at the game creation screen, and all you'll need to do is change this game random seed. Now, most of the starting locations that you're going to get are going to match that first one that was randomly inserted into there, but it is possible that a few of the game seeds will give you a different starting location, possibly the one that you want. So I went ahead and changed this from the 88889 game random seed to just putting a 1 in there. So let's go ahead and load this up and we'll see what has changed. So here we are again loading in with that adjusted game random seed, and now you'll see here that we did get a different starting location, and you'll just have to take my word for it. This is the same map. You obviously can't tell because I didn't walk around and show you the rest of the map, but we got a significantly different start here. We're on the east end of the map rather than that far north starting spot that we got, and looks like we aren't stuck on like a coastal area. Now, this one isn't really all that exciting either, but it does illustrate that you can change your starting spot. Now, let's go ahead and try this again and see if we can't get the one that we were looking for. Now, I changed the game random seed from 1 to 2 and left the map seed the same, and now you can see that I got the same starting location as the default setting where we had left the game random seed completely alone. So if you run into a string where you get the default setting map a lot, there are a couple of things that you can do to possibly fiddle with the starting location some more. So let's hop into that from the game creation screen again here. All right, so back at the game creation screen. Now, let's say you're still wanting to stay with that same leader, but you still have not identified that particular starting location that you want. So there are a couple of other things that impact where you might start on the map, and that is the number of leaders that are in the game and the number of city-states. So we're going to tick up the number of city-states to 11, and then we're going to go ahead and check down the number of AI players to 4. So we have to select one more city-state here because we only had 10 selected. So let's go ahead and we'll just add a random one in, and then let's go ahead and try games random seed 1 here again. And that's the one that we already saw where it did change our starting location, but it didn't really give us the one we were looking for. You wouldn't know that because you haven't seen the remainder of the map, but it gave us that start with a couple of olives, the silk, and by that big lake. But so now we've adjusted the number of AI players and the number of city-states, and then use that same game random seed, and then we're going to go ahead and load in again. We've made those adjustments and we are ready to load in, and let's see. Now remember that we made the same map and game seed combination where we got the olives and lake and such, and now we can see that we're getting something different because we're immediately getting the hermetic order discovery because that is triggered by a natural wonder. So here is the starting spot that we were looking for, that you might have identified when playing through on this map before. And now you can see that this starting spot in comparison to what we had previously is pretty amazing. You can see that you basically can settle in place on top of a 4 food, 1 production, and 1 faith tile. You immediately get 3 era score for that. The only drawback is it does not have a fresh water source here, but it's got some really great tiles nearby. So basically, we were able to force this particular starting location on the map by fiddling with those settings that we went over. So again, most of the time, the bias is going to be in favor of that first default role on the map seed, combined with that default game seed. But if you do see spots that you might be interested in, this is one of the ways that you can force this. Now, this map actually does have another interesting starting location seed, which I will go over really quick right now. All right, let's take a look at another one of the starting spots on this map. Now, I wasn't able to duplicate this particular starting spot with Korea, so we're going to go ahead and load it in with Scotland as Robert the Bruce here. So if that name sounds familiar to you, that is because that is actually that douchey character in Braveheart that sells out Mel Gibson. I guess maybe he wasn't a douchey character. I guess at the end they make him out to be sort of the hero. But that's, if the name sounds familiar to you, that is that character. So here we go. We are going to load in here, and oops. You can see here. Now, you can see here, you can't see it on the map, although if you have a good eye, you can see it. This is Mount Roraima here. So this is another starting spot on this same location with those map and game settings here. Let me pop them up, and I'll actually also put little marks next to settings that you can change in terms of number, or I'm sorry, settings that you can adjust to adjust your starting locations with the green check mark next to them, and then settings that you will not be able to change without changing the map have the red X next to them here. Then finally, just to show that all those spots were on the same map, I'm going to load up a game where you can see more of the map. So if you wanted to play it without spoiling the rest of the map, you can just sort of take my word for it and stop here. But if you want to vote for the World Congress, no. All right, so if you want to see here that particular map, you can see here is the good starting location that we were trying to get initially in the video with Korea. That is where Basil started as Constantinople. That's not me. I am Harold Harada here in this game. And then, where am I even on this map? I ended up down here, which was sort of a nothing start really on this map. It didn't have any of those. This was the actually... I don't believe I showed this starting location. This was another one of the seeds you could have gotten that was nothing really exciting. And then the one that we just showed with Scotland should be over. See, you can barely see it. It's right here. This is the edge of Mount Roraima here. You can see it if I mouse over it here, that is Mount Roraima. So you can see India started on top of that. And then the one that we can't see, this is that starting location that we first loaded with Korea that's on the far north end of the map. So you can see that this is in fact the same map, and you can see 4 different starting locations, and then it had 2 interesting natural wonder starts. And so you are able to potentially force those starts, and that is what we were sort of trying to illustrate with this video. So if you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing, and have fun with the map seed.